How's it going, everyone? Cup of Anime Joe here, and we are back with another One Piece review, this time for chapter 1162, titled God Valley Battle Royale. And let me tell you, that certainly is what we got in this chapter. But before we get into that, let's touch on the cover page story, which really had a very anticlimactic ending. So we have Yamato munching on some food. I couldn't tell you what this is, I'm not sure. And it says it's completed with her sending a message to Luffy, basically, "Dear Luffy Dono, it's another peaceful day in Wano." We got Momonosuke on one side, we have Kinemon on the other side looking really perplexed that Ulti is just chilling next to him. And, you know, obviously we know Ulti and Page 1 are effectively scabbards of Yamato now. They're like the new generation scabbards. And Kinemon is just kind of like, okay, I mean, you know, Odin did the same thing with us, right? I was once one of the ruffians joining Odin, so I suppose it's fair that Yamato has her own scabbards, you know, just don't do anything too crazy, and, you know, we should be okay. And like, why? Like, what did we really get out of this cover page story, right? We got the GOAT, Kozuki Moria, and it was fun to see Yamato travel around for the most part. I'll say it was fun. It dragged on sometimes, but it was nice to see Yamato go around and meeting people, and it was great to see Page 1 get, not Page 1. Who's Who. It was great to see Who's Who get smacked in the face, but not a whole lot happened. You know, Yamato didn't get more. She only got 2 people joining her. She didn't pick up more of the Tobiropo. She didn't set out to sail to meet Luffy. We didn't get the Blackbeard pirates attacking Wano to get Pluton. So I wonder, like, this cover page story doesn't really connect with the main story in the way the Neomads one did. And, you know, maybe that's just how it's meant to be this time, but I'm a little curious, like, if originally we were supposed to get more, and Oda chose to cap it off here, or if this is really all he wanted to do. Now, let's get into the chapter. And we open up with a giant explosion. Rocks and St. Garling are clashing in the northwest. So, we now see Garling getting some action. He is, somewhat unfortunately for him, paired up against Rocks. And we get a little map here kind of showing us where people are at. So we have the spot where Rocks and Garling are at. We have the spot where Roger and the Roger Pirates are at, which includes Shaki. And that brings us right into the next section here, where Rocks is like, "We've got the Rocks crew behind us and the Navy in front of us. We gotta open a path for Rayleigh and Shaki." And he tells Rayleigh to go on ahead and get Shaki to safety and that he's got stuff here. We have a pretty cute scene of Shaki just looking very happy and content in Rayleigh's arms. He's running, you know, got pirates chasing him. A couple of the members of the Roger Pirates are in Zoro and Sanji fashion, keeping everyone away from Rayleigh, like, "No, y'all ain't getting close to this," as if we're gonna let you ruin this rescue. And then we even have some of the Rocks pirates, like Shiki kicks a pirate and he's like, "You can't go after them, dang it, Shaki's gonna get hurt." So it's not like he cares about Roger or the Roger Pirates or Rayleigh. He also doesn't seem like terribly upset that Rayleigh got the save. No, he's just still concerned for Shaki, so he's like, "Yeah, go loot some treasure or something, get out of here." We got Whitebeard leading a charge, saying kind of the same thing, like, "Okay, like, Shaki is safe, it is what it is, let's get some treasure, focus on gathering that instead." So then we get the scene of Shaki and Rayleigh, which I mentioned, and again, she looks happy. But Rayleigh's like, "Shaki, there's something I've got to tell you. I want to know. Shaki, why did you have to stop Rayleigh here? I want to know what he was going to say. But no, she's like, don't say another word. I already know. Well, we don't know. Shocky, we don't know. Was Rayleigh gonna tell you that he's in love with you? Pretty obvious, if that's the case. Was he gonna tell you something completely different? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure we're ever gonna know, because Shocky put the kibosh on that one. Then we move into what is called Prize Storeroom 1. So it seems like probably the Marines rounded up all the prizes that were up on the pedestals and hid them in these storerooms. And this is where Kuma and Ivankov pick up the 2 devil fruits that we already know they had. Kuma's pawpaw fruit and Kaido's azure dragon fruit. And so we get a scene that we've already seen, but kind of from like a different perspective, where it's first Kuma and Ivankov, and then Big Mom comes in and like shoves Ivankov into the wall and grabs the dragon fruit. And then we see her reaching for Kuma. So this is from Big Mom's point of view. We see her reaching for Kuma, but Ivankov's like, Don't think, Kuma, just eat the fruit. And Kuma just shoves the fruit in his mouth and starts chomping. Big Mom's like, grr, and looks angry, but we learn from Wano that Charlotte Linlin does follow pirate code. Probably not going to kill a child. So she just abandons the second devil fruit, and it was like, look, he got it. It is what it is. I'm going to move on to something else. And she escapes with the dragon fruit. But Ivankov's like, look, now we have the pawpaw fruit. We can start saving people. This is a victory. Forget the other devil fruit. We got one. Let's move on. We got what we came for. And then we have Barbell. I think he's using Fishman Karate. And we have a very interesting scene here of Marco the Phoenix kicking Silver Axe. Wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. So this definitely isn't Marco. Marco's like a child at this point. But this person looks just like Marco. He's got the pineapple head. He's got the facial structure. It's like, is this Marco's dad? I have a feeling that's the common thought right now, is that this person is in some way related to Marco, or rather Marco is related to this person, and maybe again he's even Papa Marco, and he's clearly no slouch, right? Because he's delivering Silver Axe a solid kick to the jaw right here. And so, I mean, we know he's not part of the Rocks crew. We know that he's not part of the Roger crew, so he must be a member of, or even a captain of, one of the other pirate crews that came to God Valley in response to the message that was sent out by Ginny. So I just thought that was interesting that we have somebody here who looks so much like Marco, but yeah, it's definitely not Marco. Then we cut over to Garp Chujo, and he is furious because it appears he has finally learned what actually is going on God Valley. And we see another Marine asking what his orders are, but we don't get a response to this yet. We think he's asking Garp for his orders. He could be reaching out to somebody else, but the way that these panels are set up, it certainly seems like it's Garp. But Garp is on the Den Mushi with Sengoku. And he's like, hey, Sengoku, did you know about this crap? Like, he's clearly talking about all the civilians that have been killed by the hunting games. And Sengoku plays coy. We don't really know if he knows and he's not telling Garp, or if he actually doesn't know and he's just giving Garp the information that he does know. I think they're all still vice admirals at this point, so I'm not sure if Sengoku would be privy to more information than Garp or not. But what he says is, I think I recall someone alluding to it in a vague, rambling report once. The guy up and vanished from Navy life sometime afterwards, so he was taken out. Like, he was running his mouth, and the Gorosei or the Gods Knights or Imu were like, this guy is saying too much. He's got to go. And so he was offed while filing that report, or after filing that report. And so it never really got out past that. But Garp is like, this doesn't feel like a dream. They really did this. I don't think this is a dream, Garp. No, this definitely happened. And so now, what I want to see is, what is Garp going to do? Like, how is he going to respond to the atrocities that are being laid bare in front of him by the very people that the Marines are supporting? Even if Garp doesn't directly support the Tenryubito and, you know, the Celestial Dragons in general, the Marines certainly do. And so now we're seeing Garp and Dragon both witnessing what's really going on in this world. We know that Dragon's like, I saw no justice in the Marines, and he goes off and forms the Freedom Fighters, and then they become the Revolutionary Army. So we know Dragon's like, this is bullshit. I'm not sticking around anymore. Garp has been a Marine for longer and is a little more stuck in his ways. And, you know, like, the truth is, Garp is definitely saving lives being in the Marines. So perhaps he still thinks that he can do good for the world at large. But what I really want to see is, what is his response to what the Celestial Dragons are doing? What is Garp going to do both in this flashback, and what does Garp do in the long run leading up to the current story? So we'll put a pin in that one because we don't know yet, but I am very curious to see. Now we see Rox. Rox is being chased by Garling, the Gods Knights, and some Davy clan members who have been Domi reversied. So we don't know who performed this. Did Emu possess someone and perform the Domi reversi on them? Can the Gods Knights do this as well as like a proxy for Emu? We don't see the actual Domi reversi happen, but they look just like Dory and Bragi in the current story, and so that's certainly what happened to them. Rox has Eris slung over his shoulder, so he found his wife. Eris has Teach, so he's got both of them. And he's running, although it seems like he's running and gunning, right? Because he's fighting as well. He's got a sword in the other hand. Eris is pleading with him, please put me down. So she wants Rox to be able to fight at full strength. Rox wants to be able to keep them safe. We also see that two of the members of the Davy clan who have been Domi reversied is Rox's dad, which is really sad. That's gotta suck to see and have to be fighting against. And his grandmother. So we have Pops and Granny. What in the world? This whole situation actually totally sucks for Rox. I mean, we knew that was going to be the case anyway, but this is pretty terrible. I mean, okay. We got Garling, who got trounced by Rox. Like, he's still riding, like he's still up and moving, but his head has a giant gash. His shoulder also has a giant gash. Rox did him in. He's like, he sure is a strong one. It takes quite a while to regenerate from his sword slashes. So even Rox is not doing permanent damage to these guys, which really makes me wonder in the future, how are we going to take down the Gods Knights, like, for real? But yeah, Garling didn't fare too well, and later in this chapter, we're going to see that he continues to not fare too well. So we have more of Eris pleading with Rox, saying, like, you know, let me go, Zebek. Are you going to try to fight them off one-handed? And Rox, or I guess Davy, is like, or Zebek, maybe we'll just call him Zebek. I'm going to keep saying Rox, whatever. Don't you get it, Eris? If anyone bearing the Davy name is caught, they'll go through so much suffering, it'll make hell look tame. And she's like, I know that. I'm a full-fledged part of the Davy clan now. Everyone here has always been so nice to me, even though I was a pirate. So this pretty much confirms that Eris is not part of the Davy clan, which I think we kind of could have already concluded that, with Rox being a member of the Davy clan. And we get this sweet picture of Rox's dad and grandmother smiling and laughing with Eris, which makes the earlier scene that much harder to watch. And she goes on to say, I fully understand the fate our clan faces. Now put me down. And she like leaps, somersaults, pretty badass, out of Rox's shoulder, holding Teach. And she says, if I was the kind of woman who just clung to you and couldn't protect a single child, you never would have fallen for me, right? And Rox is like, well, I guess you're right. But not really. He keeps going, don't be an idiot. And she's like, listen, if it looks like they're about to get me, I'll take both Teach and myself out to make sure that doesn't happen. We'll survive this by splitting up. Let's meet on Lelucia, Zebek. Not great choices, y'all. Right? We got God Valley. Gets taken out. We got Lelucia in the future. Also gets taken out. So, I don't have... I mean, we're pretty sure that Rox goes down here. I think there's a really high probability that Eris also goes down here. And that Teach is the only one who survives and is now carrying on that inherited will. We're going to take a quick coffee break. Delicious. Garling is... This is not a flex, bro. You, after getting, like, walked on earlier, you're just running your mouth at this point. He's like, finally ditched your wife and kid, huh? Now then, what'll the next attack be? So I guess maybe he knows. Maybe he realizes whatever it is, it's going to be tough to deal with, or not feasible to deal with without the regeneration. And Rox is like, why am I the one being saved here? And he holds his sword up. And then he goes two-hand style. Zaraki Kenpachi. Don't you know, Noitura, that a sword is more powerful when it is swung with two hands? And he brings that sucker down. And it looks like he splits God Valley in half. Like, you see a giant slash going through one side and a bunch of destruction in its wake on the other side as Rock brings his sword down. Afraid I can't let you go any further. Now bring it on, you monsters. Eris is running away, calling Zebek. Teach has just one tear. And then he's just like looks in shock. So this is probably the last time Teach gets to see his dad. I have a feeling that even if he doesn't remember all of this in this event, that he remembers some of it. And then, oh man, this is hilarious. Big Mom does some flaunting in the absolute worst time that you could ever do some flaunting. She holds out the dragon fruit, exclaiming, a model of the fish fruit, I'll feed it to Katakuri. My future crew is going to be overwhelmingly powerful. And here comes Kaido with the freaking sneak. Kaido like leaps in, takes his Kanabo, smacks Big Mom right in the face. She's like, poof. The fruit goes flying. Kaido doesn't even bother reaching for it. In a very comical scene, he just like reaches his neck and head out and just munches the fruit right out of the sky. And then Big Mom's like, what? Screw you, Kaido. And he has this goofy ass grin on his face as he's chewing and nomming down on the fruit. And then there's a big explosion in Conqueror's Hockey. It seems like maybe there's a quick clash between Big Mom and Kaido, but obviously we know that they both survive this and go on in the future. So yeah, Kaido wasn't like gifted this devil fruit by Big Mom in a time of need. Nah, he just pirated his way through a sneak to that devil fruit, which I think is hilarious. And then we have a split scene here, which is really interesting to see. I think it's pretty cool. We have Dragon on one side with baby Shanks, who is now crying. Curious, right? Because in the beginning, Shanks and Shamrock, neither of them were crying. When Shamrock got picked up by St. Maffy, he started crying. Now Shanks, who is awake with Dragon, also is crying. Does this have anything to do with them being separated? I wonder. Because when they were together, this wasn't the case. Just something to think about. But yeah, so we have Dragon escaping with Shanks on one panel, and then we have Aerys escaping with Teach on the other panel, and they're both saying, I won't let you die here. So it's just interesting to see the relationship that Shanks and Blackbeard have today, yet they both originated pretty much from the same place. Not quite, but pretty much from the same place, and they both started life out basically with the God Valley incident. So that was very curious to see. And now we're getting towards the end of the chapter here. We have Prize Storeroom 2, where Scopper Gabon found a bunch of treasure. I've never seen this much loot before. Whoa, there's devil fruits here too. So we only see like gold and doubloons and sapphires. We see like traditional treasure here. We don't see any devil fruits, but we can infer that they're here. And then we have Gonzui coming in like we'd let the Roger Pirates get away with all this. And Scopper like blocks his attack, and I swear, like, Gonzui looks like he is really trying. Scopper looks like he's just chilling. Like, he just doesn't care. So I wonder if there's like a pretty big power gap between Gonzui and Scopper Gabon. It'll be curious to see if any more matchups happen. And speaking of Scopper, we still need to see him school Saint Summers. Because in the current storyline, Summers shits his pants the moment he sees Scopper. So they've encountered each other in the past. And I really think that maybe the only instance for that to have happened is this incident. So I wonder if Summers gets up later and targets Rayleigh and Shockey a second time. But then Scopper Gabon steps in and is like, you're not going anywhere, broski, and just completely schools his ass. It'll be funny to see if that happens, and I'm certainly excited to see where this goes. But he's not in this scene. This is mostly just Scopper getting treasure, easily blocking Gonzui. Love to see it. And then we cut back to Garp. We have some Marines drive the pirates off the island. Garp's like, nothing makes sense here. I'm so confused. Not even justice makes any sense in this scenario. We cut to some God Valley residents on the shore. The world government's navy, please let us go. And then there's just an explosion as a battleship fires a cannonball with a caption that says God Valley is not a member nation as such. ... And then we get a lead up with Kuma. We're going to see a panel with him right after this. Even if I only manage one more, I'm going to save as many of these people as I can. And then we have Saturn chilling on a rock. We're going to get to Kuma after this. And he's talking telepathically to someone. It's either Emu or the other Gorosei. And they ask, Saturn, is Rox dead? And Saturn's just like chilling, watching. He doesn't have great luck. It seems incidents he's involved with never go well. Well, things have continued to unfold outside our expectations. In fact, all this intense destruction, I believe if it continues, we risk something else being unleashed. And in the background, we see Kaido in his dragon form flying up into the sky, but I think it's pretty evident that Saturn's not talking about Kaido. He's definitely referring to something else. So what's going to be unleashed? Is there an ancient weapon here? Is there something locked away or hiding in God Valley? Is he talking about fighters like Rox or Roger or even Garp reaching dangerous levels of power by unlocking Haki? It's peculiar, right? Because whoever he's talking to then says that must not be permitted. So whatever this is, whatever Saturn thinks is at risk of being unleashed, it is a very big deal. And then we get some panels of Kuma saving people, and even though he's saying no need to thank me, we have to hurry, we get panels of every individual that he saves thanking Kuma. So thank you, Pop, Poof, from the Pawpaw fruit. Thank you, Poof, Poof, Poof. We have Kuma just smiling. Kuma's totally goated. I mean, we knew this. One of the greatest characters in all of One Piece. Ginny's just crying as she watches this happen. And then we have one final panel. Thank you. I think this is where Kuma and his group leaves the island, so I don't think they're on here past this point. This is the last group he was able to save. And then Kuma, Ginny, and Ivankov are probably like, we gotta go. So he hits them off with the Pawpaw fruit and then gets himself, and they're all Audi 5000 right off this island. And in this last panel, we also have a huge explosion of black lightning and Haki, not too dissimilar from when Saturn summoned the Gorosei to Egghead Island. And this catches everyone's attention. Roger, Garp, Rox, Whitebeard, everyone notices this Haki. And we see Saturn starting to transform into his Yuki form. And then we have Roger, bosses Rox and the others, and they're turning to look at what's going on. Hold on, this probably isn't the time for that. So Roger is still like concerned about that Haki, and I think his crew is kind of figuring that out. And then we have Rox D. Zebek totally aura farming. Like, he's got a sword on the ground. He's totally shaded, like shadowed out, but you can see his eyeballs glowing. And the Gods Knights are just on the floor, ruined. Garling can't even move. He's like, damn it. And he's like covered in blood. And Rox is like, how dare you go after my family? If you want me dead, I'll take you down first. So yeah, these Gods Knights, like, they just don't stand a chance against Rox D. Zebek. Now, I expect Garling to be more menacing in the current storyline. As he's older, he has more experience. He's now a Gorosei, so he might even have more power from Imu. But I wonder if this is just a ceiling. Like, if this is putting a power ceiling on the Gods Knights, where they're strong, and they're regeneration merchants, but they are not top-tier fighters, like you might see from a Yonko. So that makes me curious to see where they're really going to slot in as enemies, and who their matchups are going to be in the current storyline in the Final War. We have a lineup, an epic lineup of Rox, Whitebeard, and Kaido, and I think also Roger and Garp, all facing Saturn, who Imu seems to be manifesting out of. So maybe Imu is possessing Saturn in the same way that he's possessing Gunko in the current storyline, which, now that I think about it, we have not seen Gunko in a little bit on God Valley, so I wonder what she's doing. She wasn't even present when the Gods Knights assembled with Garling, so I wonder where she's at. And we have Whitebeard lining up to help Rox, and Rox is like, there's not much to gain here. Like, you can dip at this point. Are you still going to help? And Whitebeard, I think he probably realized that Rox is trying to save his family. Like, at some point, Whitebeard saw or picked up on Rox being here to save his family. And we know, Edward Newgate is the family man. So that probably got him going. Like, he is now behind that. And so he's like, don't sweat it. I owe you since I'm always drinking on your tab. And then Kaido flies in. Hey, you two, check this out. Roro, 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 Roro. I finally got an ability. And he's having fun. And Rox is like, good on you. At least someone's having a fun time here. And so, yeah. We have this group facing off against Emu. Right? And Garp is like, maybe this is a dream. After all, what's up with this island? It's not a dream, Garp. You're going to have to come to terms with the fact that this is really happening. And Roger's like, it's been one adventurous twist after another today. Crazy day. And Whitebeard's like, what the hell are we up against? Like, what is this? And Rox, who has seen Emu, like met Emu before, in the flower room, it's like, what is this, you ask? If I had to say, I'd say it's Zawarudo. So yeah, he describes Emu as the world, right? And so what does this mean? Is Emu like a manifestation of the world itself in some way? Is Rox saying that what we are facing here is the embodiment of the state of the world as it is? Because Emu's the ruler of it? I'm very curious to see what he means by this. And it also ties back to what Van Augur and Katarina Devon said to Saturn in Egghead when Saturn asked them, what is your goal? And they're like, the world. So are these two descriptions of the world are they talking about the same thing? Rox describing Emu, and then the Blackbeard pirates telling Saturn what their goal is. Very curious stuff. This is the end of the chapter. We are on a break next week, so maybe there'll be some time for discussions. We'll just have to see. If you like the video, of course, please like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. If I missed anything, or there's anything you'd like to talk about, please leave that in the comment section below. I'd love to hear it. And with that, I hope that each and every one of you have an excellent rest of your day.